Hi guys, I'm so excited for today's video because today I have in my hand something that ever since I saw the sneak peek, I knew I was going to get it and I just can't wait. Like, can you tell I'm really excited? I know I'm always excited, but I'm extra excited today because I don't own a lot of Pat McGrath and I haven't tried a lot from her, but when I saw that she was coming out with the, what is this even called again? Celestial Nirvana palette, I was like, I need to get this palette. If you haven't seen this, this is the holiday palette for 2022. This is so beautiful. I mean, there are so many just colorful mattes in here, and that is what I've been waiting for from Pat McGrath. I've been waiting for color, and I feel like she finally delivers something that I'm interested in. So we're gonna test this out today. This is only going to be a first impression. I think I'm gonna do probably a 5-look video with this afterwards. Also, if you're wondering about my fabulous hair today, which I'm sure a lot of you are, this is the Casey pony from INH. Did buy this myself. I thought what better occasion to pull it out than when we're playing with a holiday palette that is as glam as Pat McGrath. So that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, I just want to dig into this. I just want to see what this is all about. I'm not going to bore you with any information. I think this is only available at Pat McGrath's website so far. It will probably come to Sephora at some point. I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to just start by priming my eyes with my Natasha Denona eyeshadow primer. And if it looks like I have glitter and sparkles on my eyes, it's because I filmed a look earlier today and I wasn't able to get it all off. And also if my face makeup and my concealer is looking a little bit weird, that's why. But I'm so ready to really test out Pat McGrath. And let me know, for you guys who have some of her big mothership palettes, but also have her holiday palettes, especially if you have the other large holiday palette that she came out with. Was it last year or the year before? Let me know if they're the same formula, because when I swatched this palette, I felt like, I don't want to say I was disappointed, but I was expecting a little bit more from the shimmers. Now, I know that there are no like special shimmers in this palette because those are expensive, but I still was expecting just a little bit more oomph, and I feel like some of these shimmers are maybe a little just kind of basic for what I was expecting, but we'll see how it performs on the eyes. That's all that really matters. So I'm not really sure what I want to do today. There are so many beautiful options. I'm very tempted to dip into especially this blue up here, the purple, maybe the green. Maybe we can do like a green, purple, blue look, even though I just did that with the Teresa is Dead palette that she did with Lethal. Maybe I'll do something else today. Maybe we'll do purple and blue, and then we can do blue, maybe blue. I don't know, but I'm gonna do a lot of looks with this palette, like I said, so don't worry. I don't want to like go out of my way to try out as many shades in this as possible when I know I am going to be playing more with this in the future. So I think I'm gonna start with, maybe I'll use these two colors instead. I feel like there's not really a transition shade to the dark blue. I feel like this one is gonna be quite dark on the eyes, so maybe what I'll do is I'll go in with this shade and then deepen it up with a blue. We'll kind of see how that ends up looking. I'm just gonna start by packing that in my crease here. I do not have a lot of experience with Pat McGrath. Like I said before, I have one of her 6-pan palettes that I got in, I don't think it was a BoxyCharm, but it was some kind of a subscription box a very long time ago. I had her Mothership 5, the all shimmer palette. I ended up decluttering that one because it was very, very old, and I bought that before I really got into makeup properly, and I don't feel like I gave it the respect that it deserved, and I don't feel like I really got enough use out of it when I had it, when I first got it. I thought that some of the shimmers in there were really nice, but it just never ended up being the kind of colors that I wanted to wear, so I decided to give that away to someone who would get more use out of it because I was never really using it. So I'm excited to get back into Pat McGrath again, especially now that I feel like I'm a little bit more into neutrals than I was in the past, and I can kind of get along more with the color stories from Pat McGrath, because I feel like a lot of the time they've been kind of, especially I'm thinking mostly about the mattes now, they've been kind of redundant. There's a lot of pinks and a lot of browns, and it just hasn't really been what I've been into. But I feel like my makeup aesthetic is shifting a little bit to be more Pat McGrath, if that makes sense. So I'm excited to maybe explore a little bit further. I am tempted to pick up one of her Mothership palettes. If you own them, which one is your favorite? I would love to know, because I do, maybe at some point when things calm down a little bit. It's just been so busy with releases right now that I'm kind of overwhelmed, if I'm being completely honest. But I think every creator who you know, reviews a lot of things and gets a lot of PR. Not saying I'm not grateful for that at all, but I feel like a lot of us are just kind of overwhelmed right now because the fall season is always so busy with all of the Halloween launches and all of the fall launches, and then you have the holiday launches, which, I mean, it's so fun. I love it, but at the same time, it's like, I only have 2 eyes. I can't review everything. And so when something comes out that's as exciting as this, it's kind of not a sigh of relief, but it's one of those things that I know I'm going to just prioritize this because I really want to play with it. And if I have other things that don't get featured, then so be it, right? Because I simply cannot do everything. It's just impossible. But this shade is really, really pretty. It's definitely not perfectly blended yet. I am going to go in and perfect this after, but I just want to kind of get this color down before I move on. And I'm just going to do a very basic eyeshadow shape today because I just want to see how these colors perform in a way that I would normally use this palette. So next up, to deepen this up, I'm going to go in with the dark blue shade. There are names in this palette, but they're on the back, and so I always find it kind of confusing to know like if this shade is this shade or this shade is this shade. So I'm just not going to say the names because I don't want to get it wrong. But I'm taking the dark blue shade and I'm just going to use that. Oh, that is beautiful. That is such a rich, dark, deep blue shade. Yeah, I really like that. I'm just going to take that on the outer half or so of my lid. I will be layering some shimmers over this, so I like having a bit of a base for the shimmer to go on top of. Man, that is laying down so nicely over that purple. I'm loving these mattes so far. I'm going to take some of this shade underneath my eye as well. Just using a small pencil brush here from Rephr. I do wish that there was a bit of a lighter blue matte to blend this out with, but I'm just gonna take my time and work on the edges a little bit of both the purple and the blue to make sure I get a good blend here. I feel like I'm pretty satisfied with the blend here. I feel like that looks really good. Just wait until the shimmers go on because it is all gonna come together. I'm gonna do what I always do. I'm gonna put on a little bit of my NYX glitter primer because I do that with every shimmer because I just wanna see how intense and how sparkly and how opaque these are going to be. That is how I prefer my eye looks to be. Sometimes I like more of a sheer application, but for the most part, I do want to have as much kind of impact as I can get with my shimmers. So just want to give these the best chance they have at performing well. And I'm gonna use the blue shimmer down here because it looks beautiful. I'm gonna start that in the middle of my lid and kind of drag it out, and then we can use the lighter shimmer on the front portion of my lid. So I feel like my suspicion with the shimmers is kind of what I thought it would be. I mean, it's nice, it's very smooth. I feel like it goes on really nicely. I'm able to blend it out nicely, but I'm not seeing any kind of like, you know, glitteriness or duochromeness or sparkliness. It's just kind of a very, what you think of when you hear the word shimmer shadow, you know? Like, I don't think that this is something that I don't already own in my collection, but I think it's something that's going to wear incredibly well, and I think it's something that pretty much everybody is going to get along with formula-wise. I think it's not something that's going to enhance texture on your lid. It's going to look really nice and smooth and just kind of look good. This is, I don't know if I'd call this a sophisticated shimmer, but in a way I feel like it is. Maybe hard to say that about a blue shade, but it looks really nice. I mean, I can't say otherwise. I just wish that there was maybe something a little more special to some of these than what I'm currently experiencing. But again, I didn't really know what to expect with this palette, and I do see that there's definitely a couple of different shimmer formulas in this. I feel like the most intense one is probably going to be this kind of goldy bronzy shade, which sadly isn't my favorite color to wear, but that's okay. I'm next gonna go into this kind of baby blue shimmer up here. This one definitely felt more like a satin than anything else. I'm just gonna put that in the front portion of my lid. Yeah, this one is not as kind of metallic and shiny as the other one. It almost feels more like a matte than a shimmer, like a weak satin in a way. But I mean, you can see just how smooth they lay on my lids. So if you're someone who prefers a shimmer formula that is not super intense, that probably won't crease on you, that is easy to work with, easy to build up, easy to kind of blend into mattes, I think that you would really like these. Because I am a rebel and I like to mix cool tone and warm tones, I'm gonna take this shade right here and I'm gonna put a little bit of that just in the front portion of my lower lash line, just to test out one more shade. And I do like to have a pop of a different color down here. I just think that's kind of fun. Again, this is the same, I would say, texture as the light blue that we just used. It looks nice. It's definitely not super metallic, but it's going on really well. Now, would I say that this palette is worth $89 I paid for this? That's a lot of money. I think it just depends on what you are looking for in your makeup and your eyeshadows, and only you can tell yourself if it's worth it for you. I do have to point out that I was very surprised when I opened the packaging and I felt the weight of the palette. Like, I know that her mothership palettes are extremely heavy, but I have, like I said, I've never tried any of like this format from Pat McGrath, and I feel like just seeing it in other people's videos and seeing it in pictures, like, it looks a lot lighter than it is, and it has a lot of weight to it, and I really like weighty makeup. It makes it feel more bougie. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but it also has these little strappy things on here so that if you wanted to stand up the palette, you could, and it would just hold itself up. Not sure how I feel about that personally. As a YouTuber, I like to be able to bend my palettes all the way back instead of having to hold it like this, but YouTuber problems. It's definitely nice if you want to use this as your mirror to do your makeup. You can stand it up on your vanity or whatever and use this as a mirror, so that's really nice. I think I'm just going to go ahead and finish off. I think this is going to be like the final look for now. I'm going to put on some lashes, something in my waterline, and I'll come back and show you the final look and tell you my first impression on this palette. So this is it. I put on some lashes. I am wearing the Dragoness lashes from Unicorn Lashes. This is only my second time wearing them. Well, technically I wore them the first time today, so I've worn them twice today. But I really do like these. I think that they are beautiful. So, my first impression on this palette. I feel like I was thinking about this while I was kind of finishing up, and I'm like, I paid a lot of money for this, and I don't know if I feel like I got my money's worth. I mean, it's fine, and I think that it just comes down to like a preference thing. I think that I was just, maybe my expectations were too high. Maybe I thought that this was going to be better than it actually is. Maybe I thought that this was going to be more like some of her other palettes that I've seen people use. The shimmers in here are, I don't like to use the word lackluster, but for what I'm used to using, I use a lot of indie brands if you're new to my channel. I really like sparkly shadows, I like duochromes, I like multichromes, I like something that's really shiny and metallic, and I don't feel like I am getting what I like in this palette. And that doesn't mean that it's a bad palette, it just means that this isn't what I thought it was going to, well, it's not what I was hoping it would be. So for me, this isn't my perfect palette, and I think for that reason, I'm gonna do a 3-look video with this. I went from doing maybe 10 to 5, and now I'm like, I think I'm only gonna do 3 because I want to just make up my mind about this palette, and I feel like that is enough looks for me to do so, but I also don't want to force myself to use this palette more than I maybe want to. Not saying that I don't want to use this palette, but there are so many other things that I've gotten into my collection that I'm also really excited about that I want to get around to filming with, and those things right now excite me a little bit more than this excites me to continue playing with. But I do want to give you some more inspiration. I do want to play more with this. I do want to make up my mind fully about this. I think that the mattes that I use so far are beautiful, so I will give it that. I think that the matte formula in here is really, really nice, and I'm excited to see what else I can do with this, but I don't think that this is going to become like my favorite palette of the year or a palette that I'm going to be ranking super high in my ranking videos, but it just comes down to personal preference. There are so many people who I know are going to love this, and again, this isn't a bad palette. This just probably isn't a perfect palette for me, but I will have a more thorough review for you with some more looks coming up. Not sure when that is going to be, but probably within a week. I don't like making promises, but it'll probably be up within a week. So let me know if you're excited for that. Is there any color combo that you want to see me do with this? Also let me know, because I can probably do that. So that's gonna be it for today. If you want to see some other first impression videos, I do have a very large playlist right there. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.